Hey everyone, and welcome to the Y2Podcast, where we tackle the films of the 2000s. I'm Tony,
I'm good.
and in this show, we're covering films that we deem to be the best representations of the 2000s as a decade. These are films that were defined by cultural impact, had those sweet, sweet DVD sales, merch, MTV recognition, all that good stuff. The type of movies that made you go, where was I when this came out? Of course, there will be some films that will feature that maybe didn't do well critically, didn't blow up at the box office, but still left their mark on culture and stood the test of time. Today's film, I think, ushers in what we expect from the 2000s action comedy from America. It's got wire, kung fu action, bullet dodging, hyper-sexualized cinematography, and a soundtrack that feels like you slammed a giant cartoon-sized sledgehammer into a jukebox. That's Charlie's Angels. Why Charlie's Angels? It's a continuation of a television series from the 1970s. And another thing that was really popular around this time, Gabe, taking commercial and music video directors like McG and going, what do you got? Charlie's Angels 2000 on the Y2 Podcast. All right, welcome to episode 1 of the Y2 Podcast. Gabe, how you feeling today, man?
Good. Said about Charlie's Angels? Yep.
This is the movie that kicked off the idea. You know, I was sitting there watching it randomly on a Sunday night going, you know, it's been a while since I've seen this.
Hand down your pants like El Bundy?
If I was 12, maybe. I wasn't as horny watching this as I'm guessing McG was making it. But pretty close. But yes, it was this movie, watching it, going, man, we don't get blockbusters like this now. Like, this movie is so unabashedly fun and exciting. Some jokes don't hold up, for sure. Of course. There's certain jokes you can't get away with now, but it's the charm of the stars in the movie. Drew, Cameron, Lucy, Destiny's Child. This movie is a lot of fun. It is crazy. We're going to jump into it. Oscars this Sunday. What do you think? Who's going to win?
I don't know. It's the one movie everybody thought was gonna win has so much issues going on. And then
Your favorite movie of the year, Amelia Perez?
yeah, absolutely.
I still have not watched it. I haven't watched
Either.
it.
I refuse to.
I feel like I want to out of curiosity. I just don't. I feel like with all the negative talk now, its impact on like my mind will be like, it's like if I'm gonna be looking for something wrong with it. I feel like that happens when a movie is just dogpiled. You're just like, ooh, now I have no interest. I don't really want to watch them.
Yeah, I have no interest in it just because of the stuff that the director has said, and like I'm like, yeah. Plus, you're gonna come off as a Mexican movie in a sense, and then it's made in France
By a French guy.
by a French guy.
Yeah. Who's gonna win? Who do you think is gonna win Best Actor? Is little Timmy gonna win? You think Timmy's gonna win?
And I hope not.
Really? You didn't like his comments?
No, I don't even care about the comments. I don't know. I want somebody established to win. Somebody who hasn't won it.
Brody, you think Brody's gonna take it?
I mean, he's won it before for The Pianist, but I think this will be like his ultimate like comeback vehicle. Like, I know he hasn't gone anywhere,
Yeah.
but after he did The Pianist, like, what did he do after that? Like, really weird and random B movies in a sense. It was like,
He did Predators with Danny Trejo.
exactly. You just told my point.
I think, the race everyone's like really talking about is going to be that Best Actress race.
Oh, the Best Actress race is the best one.
It's stacked. And right now, I think it's a two-headed horse at this point. It's going to be is it Demi or is it Mikey Madison? Nobody knows. It's a toss-up. I couldn't even tell you.
I want Demi.
Really?
Yeah.
I think it would be a great story. I think both of them, it would be a great story either way. We'll see who takes it. Maybe Amelia Perez, maybe she takes it herself.
Doubt it. But see, just to sort of like segue into that, right, is nowadays when you make a movie, let's say like a Nora, right, where it's very hypersexualized, it's all about the woman's perception of their sexuality, right? It's like the woman in the movie nowadays, she has to be aware of her own sexuality, and it's not creepy. But when you take Charlie's Angels, fucking sexy as hell back then, It wasn't. It was just made for gratuitous sexuality. There's no nudity.
No, there's not.
There's not, right? But you got ass shots, you got cleavage shots, you got all these like lingerie shots, right? So it feels creepy in a way because the director, the way the camera set up, it's made for horny 2000s like males with these females. And then you get a Nora, and it's more like, oh yeah, she's naked and she's dancing seductively, but she's only in her own sense.
It's the control. I get what you're saying.
The control.
The control from the female perspective. And Sean Baker really, he's a film director that recognizes that this is like, how many movies in now that he's had this subject matter, Red Rocket, Nora, even the Florida Project. He'll never have that point of view. And I think what you're saying is we need more McGee's making Noras.
Listen, the 2000s for me, they were, they were my heyday. That's like my late teens, early 20s.
You want more like 12-year-old boys making horny movies.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what we need.
That's, you know what? That's exactly what we need. Maybe we'll get a new Charlie's Angels.
Make America horny again.
We need that. It's like, imagine if Nicole Kidman said that at the AMC ad. Like, we need that.
We come here for horniness.
We come here for horniness. That is true. You know what? Because Nora, great movie, right?
Yeah.
Amazing comedy. I get what you mean, though. If that movie was made a couple years prior, it is, from the studio level, inherently more horny, more broad, and would probably have starred, I'm trying to think, who would it have starred if this had come out in the 2000s?
In the 2000s?
Yeah, who would have starred
Ellen
in
Page.
Nora? You think Ellen Page? No, I'm thinking like between 2001 and 2005. Ellen Page probably would have starred in it after like a Juno.
Okay, you're right. So before that, in that time frame, you're probably looking at what's her face? The chick from American Pie.
Shannon Elizabeth?
No, not Shannon Elizabeth. The
Tara Reid.
Tara Reid.
You think that would be interesting? That might have been but
I mean, I'm not saying she's a great actress, right? But I'm saying, like, for that type of movie made in the 2000s, you're looking at an actress that's willing to.
I think Scarlett Johansson. I think Scarlett Johansson, 100%.
Scarlett Johansson was like too young. Like, you thinking like
would have been
a Lost in Translation.
Right after Lost in Translation, they handed the script to Nora. That's Nora. That's the movie Nora.
I don't think she would have.
Directed by Todd Phillips, the director of Joker 2.
Yeah, I don't think she would have done that.
Okay. So yeah, we get the Oscars Sunday. Very exciting stuff. But let's go back in time. Let's go back to the year 2000s. 2000 to be exact, the start of the decade, right? And this is the film we wanted to cover. I pitched it to Gabe because I was sitting there watching it going, this really is the jumping point. And you have to pick a movie that best represents that, where we have star power, we have the soundtrack, we have the director that's coming into the big leagues with a really silly vision, and they're given a ton of money, and they have to deliver on something that's very commercial and fun and exciting. And that's this movie. That's Charlie's Angels. Before that, it was a TV show from the 1970s. Charlie's Angels is not a remake, though. It is a update. It's a following.
Right.
It's the same concept. 3 women work for a private detective agency owned by Charlie Townsend and his right-hand man, John Bosley, who in this movie is played by Bill Murray. We'll get around to that because of the drama that happens between Bill and Lucy Liu, who's, oh man, she is so cool in this. I feel like we don't talk enough about how awesome Lucy Liu is. I just saw her in Presence, which is a great movie out. You can watch now. I think it's on VOD too. She is so sexy and just like, even for her age now, like just great looking and just such a good actress. And in this
sexualized in Asian culture,
I don't know, but I'm just saying I love Lucy Liu. She could pop up in anything, and she just has that it factor. There's something about her.
Right. No, I definitely get what you call.
She's the best. And it's funny, when I was looking up info on this, she almost didn't take the role. She was working on the show Ally McBeal at the time, pretty big show
Right.
on the networks. And Drew and Cameron really wanted her in. Drew produced this. We'll get into that as well. But Lucy Liu, had she not have done this movie, Sandy Newton, Angelina Jolie, Jennifer Lopez, and Aaliyah were all in the running.
Ooh,
That's interesting.
it is.
I can't picture any of those women in this role, as great as they are. They're all great, and they've done great movies. Aaliyah, leaving way too soon.
Yeah, Aaliyah would have been great.
That would have been an interesting choice. She would have been the youngest out of the three.
Yes, she would have been a great choice.
She would have been like, what, 18, 19 at the time if this had been done?
Right. But
Okay.
I know earlier I said I couldn't picture J-Lo in it, but now that you re-mentioned it again, like J-Lo in those tight leather pants.
Were you a J-Lo guy at the time? Like, was that a crush for you growing up?
I mean, still is.
Really? Jenny for sure?
Jenny from the Black.
Wow. I think for this movie, for what they're pitching, I think they got the three perfect actresses for that time. Drew Barrymore was having a little bit of a renaissance from her childhood, her troubled teen years, and then coming in here going, I love this concept, teaming up with the producer, Leonard Goldberg, who was one of the executive producers on the Charlie's Angels TV show, and going, how can we update this? How can we make this fun? How can we make this current? I know, like, I want to team up with Cameron Diaz, which is a fantastic choice. She's coming off being in John Malkovich. She's coming off of Something About Mary, which she's nominated for the Golden Globe for.
Right.
She's amazing in that movie. Very funny. And they want to do something unique. They want to do something that is very MTV, that it has all these different genres in there, like very silly, very hypersexualized, has a killer soundtrack, and they need somebody to helm all of this. And also bring, they're trying to bring in Lucy Liu as well, trying to work with that schedule. So she joins the cast, and so Drew joins this as a producer, makes this all happen, and she's got a vision for what this movie can be. She brings in Mick G. And at the time, Mick G, he was a music video guy. He was a commercial guy. But he had a vision. And they talked about, he stood up all night. He had these things on index cards. His pitch was insane. It was wild, but it was exactly what Drew Barrymore wanted, was this movie that was so kinetic, so lively, that you just get so swept up in the fun of it all. Like, it's silly. It's a silly romp, which is exactly what this movie needed. Interesting director. He's got a wide and varied filmography from the Babysitter movies on Netflix, which is like his baby. He came up with those ideas. I think those were going to be a part of Universal's lineup. They sold it to Netflix. He's done the movie This Means War with Chris Pine and Tom Hardy, and Terminator Salvation. I feel like you can tell what a Mick G movie is, though.
Yeah, he has a very distinct style.
It's very hyper. It feels Michael Bay-ish, but also a bit more juvenile.
Yeah, like you're on ADHD or ADD.
It feels like a child who's like had way too much like caffeine
and sugar,
and that now they're like on the internet looking up movies, right? Like they're like, all right, I'm gonna drink all this Mountain Dew, order a Domino's pizza, and look up what does Cameron Diaz look like in a skirt.
Yeah, it sounds like my 90s.
But to me, Mick G had, like, we talk about movies now, we're missing that vision, decision making, right? When we see big blockbusters, it feels like it's made by a committee. I just saw the recent Captain America movie, and I couldn't tell you what the director's vision was on that.
It's because there is no vision. Like you said, the vision, it used to be you get a director and you just let them do what they want to do. Right?
Yeah.
Whatever, right? The director has final cut. The director has final say-so. Whatever the director wants to edit in, edit out, whatever. Now, like you said, it is the studios making the movie. It's not no longer the director. The studio picks the director that they want, who is going to look at the studio's vision and do it that way.
Yeah, no, and it used to be at the time too, even the producers and people at the studio level, they were excited about what a director can bring to the movies. Like
Right.
Amy Pascal, for example, head of Sony Pictures, gets involved in Charlie's Angels. She loves McGee's vision. She loves everything Drew's talking about. This sounds exciting. We have to make this, right?
Right.
I feel like it feels like a layup that we're applauding a movie as silly as this for having a distinct style. But it is, this movie looks significantly better from something that's 25 years old than most recent big studio level blockbusters.
Right.
And that is sad. Of course, there's a lot of great examples of movies that look good over the past few years. Yeah, we know that. We see movies all the time, right? Like, we can name so many that look amazing and feel like director-driven. The stars are having a great time, and they feel very unique and exciting. But
we're also, point isn't that the point for our, at least for what our podcast is we're looking at movies that are more pop culture-ish, right? We're looking at movies that you're gonna go to a theater back in 2000, between 2000 and 2008, with a popcorn, with a bucket of popcorn, and just enjoy the shit out of it.
You're gonna enjoy the shit out of it, but also the directors and the filmmakers had their finger on the pulse of the culture.
Right.
They knew exactly what was happening at that time. What are people into, right? Which does it age these movies? A little bit, but also it gives them a vision and a take that you can't get anywhere else.
No.
You can't get anywhere else at all. And that's exactly what this movie does too. The cast in this is crazy. I don't think we get big comedies that have such a deep cast as these movies, especially this one, and most importantly, the second one, when we get to that one. This movie has, obviously, Cameron Diaz, Lucy Liu, Drew Barrymore, but it also features Bill Murray, Sam Rockwell, Kelly Lynch, Crispin Glover, Matt LeBlanc, Luke Wilson, Tim Curry, John Forsythe as the voice of Charlie, Tom Green, LL Cool J, and Melissa McCarthy has a small role in this one and the second one as well. Insane.
Tom Green, I forgot they were
together. Yeah, they were together at the time. He's the Chad in this, and even LL Cool J has a cameo at the start of the movie, their first undercover mission. One of the angels dresses up as LL to infiltrate an airplane.
Quick thing, quick trivia. Do you know what LL Cool J stands for?
I do not.
Ladies love Cool James.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. I actually really love that. So this is crazy, right? Because
that's like the who's of like the.
That's what I mean,
like,
right?
Like LL Cool J, Tom Green was like the hottest shit on MTV.
We got Joey from Friends, which is still in the air at the time.
Right.
Where like Friends ends 2004. So this is right in the height of the Friends.
I don't know Friends.
Like I thought you were a Friends guy.
Fuck no.
You're not a Friends guy?
Never have.
That's interesting.
Never watched.
This is something Neil's learning.
Of Friends.
I thought you were obsessed with Friends. You're not a Friends guy.
No.
I don't know where I got this false.
I don't like Friends.
I made an assumption.
You assumed.
I should not have made that assumption.
No.
But the cast, when I was watching this, it's been a few years since I've seen the first movie, right? I remember distinctly going to the Dollar Theater to see this with my parents, which was, we had a Dollar Theater up around this way in Illinois, in these suburbs. I forgot what it was called, man. And we saw this, and I forgot what the second movie we saw back to back. Because you could, jump from one, jump to the other. They don't really exist anymore. I don't.
Did you pay for this back to back?
I'm assuming. I was assuming my parents did. It would have been like 5 at the time. But I remember this was one of the first movies seen in a movie theater. Distinct, like this is one of my early movie going memories.
Right.
So I was sitting there watching this, and it felt like watching it. Obviously I've seen it after that too, but it's been a good at least 12, 13 years. So it almost felt like watching it for the first time again. And while it's happening, you just get swept up in the needle drops, which are crazy because they happen every 2 seconds of the movie.
Explosion.
The explosions, how fucking cool the three of them look. They just have the movie star charisma, right? And they're all unique. They all bring, like, obviously we're talking about, oh, these movies are hypersexualized and they look a certain way and they're very horny, but the girls are in on the joke, which is most important.
Yeah, they know that they're like, when they zip up their costumes, like they know that they're doing it, like the hair whip and stuff like that.
This movie has the Austin Powers energy, where obviously they're having so much fun. They know what they're doing. They know exactly the joke they're trying to tell. They have a vision. They know the bit, and the girls are all unique, and they have great chemistry together. You know, Cameron Diaz is she's the goofy one. And Lucy Liu, she's the smart one who can do everything. And we also have Drew Barrymore. She's the loner, the badass.
Right.
Which fit her personality, knowing what you know about her at that time, right? Because she was always like the outsider, trying to do something different. And she had her troubled years in the media. So honestly, feels like it fits their person. Like, these roles feel tailor-made to those three ladies. So the highlight of this movie is you get 3 stars that are up and coming in their power, and they share the spotlight perfectly. Where if one's off screen, you're watching the other one. Like the scenes with Lucy Liu and Matt LeBlanc, who's very charming, and he's essentially just playing Joey from Friends.
Yeah.
But they're really fun together. Bill Murray stands out. And I love Bill Murray. One of my favorite people, in cinema history, right? But he stands out, and it's mostly because of the drama that occurred on set of this movie, where he felt like the script was kind of juvenile. He didn't like the lines. I think for him, he didn't get that a lot of this was on the nose.
Right.
And I think for him, it was just like, this isn't smart. I don't like this. Which is sucky, because I think it's cool that he's in this movie. It's cool that, Bill Murray is John Bosley. He's the guy he's the right-hand man of Charlie. He gets them the tech. He joins them on the missions. And you get that Bill Murray charm, the sarcasm, the witty one-liners. But he also had a beef with Lucy Liu on the set of this movie. There's so many different stories. Lucy's side is that Bill targeted her on set, didn't find her to be a good actress, and said some pretty horrible things in the midst of that, which did cause the set to shut down for a day. And it also caused Bill not to return for the second installment. Regardless of that, I think he is fun in this movie. But I do like knowing the backstory now. It's like, I could see the disconnect to the material a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I knew about it, but it still wasn't like Bill. I wasn't there as much as I love Bill Murray. I wasn't there watching that movie for Bill.
Right, you're there for the 3.
Yeah, I'm there for the 3. I'm there for the action. I'm there for explosions. I'm there for, somebody's ass getting kicked.
Right. Which the kung fu in this movie, they brought in real kung fu masters from China, a lot of the Chinese cinema,
right?
To teach them how to do the wire stuff and the choreography. All the action is really well done, and it looks badass and awesome. Is it it defies gravity, of course, right? It's so it's very slapstick, and it's very Matrix inspired, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon inspired. But it all works,
and it does. That's that. Sometimes Hollywood and movie studios need to take a look at the movies that they're doing now and just say hey, what do we bring back that aesthetic? Not the aesthetic from the 2000s per se, but how they used to make
that level of fun. I think you get the filmmakers to have fun with it. The actors want to come and have a goofy time.
Because we've had this talk before on our previous iterations of different shows that we've done, and it's in a way it's very studio based. It's very collaborative, and it's very it doesn't feel like it feels like homework. You gotta it's just I'm just done with that type of style.
Are you saying you don't want to see any more movies where the bit is, what if it's John Wick but this?
No, I don't even mind that. I think what I'm saying is I think I'm done with the style of let's set up a fucking franchise.
Oh, of course.
Like you saw Charlie's Angels, right?
Yeah. It doesn't.
It doesn't feel like it's setting up a fucking 10 fucking franchise run, and then you're gonna have the special appearance of the A-Team or some other 70s TV show. Like,
No, it's setting up.
there's gonna show up, or
Yeah.
the fucking Mod Squad's gonna show up. No, it just feels like a one shot, like single. Obviously we got a sequel because of how successful it was, but it didn't start a franchise.
Yep.
And I think that's what I'm tired of, is like every movie that we watch that's gonna be. Now I'm not gonna say like we'll go back to like Honora, right? I know Honora, they made Honora, they're not gonna set up a fucking franchise of Honora, right? Like every movie is very specific, right? But for these popcorn movies that I really fucking love, that I get a lot of shit for because I do love popcorn movies. I do love just mindless fucking action movies and comedies. But nowadays, all those are set up for a fucking franchise, and every single thing needs a franchise.
I agree. And this movie's also economical in a way that it's 97 minutes and just flies by.
Right.
It's really well paced. Has a great structure to it. The beginning, the middle, the end, everything flows pretty perfectly out of what you want this movie to be. Did we mention Luke Wilson? He's in this movie as Cameron Diaz's love interest. They have some really fun stuff together. Just enough. He's not in it a lot, but he's in there. He's having a good time, right? We also have, as the three villains, which I mentioned before, which great quartet of villains: Sam Rockwell, Kelly Lynch from Drugstore Cowboy, Roadhouse. She's the doctor in Roadhouse. Looks great in this movie. Right. Having a blast with all of it. She's just eating the scenery. She's having such a good time. And Crispin Glover is the thin man, the thin creepy guy. They call him a couple of different variations of that in this movie.
He likes to smell hair.
He likes to sniff hair. He doesn't really speak, which was Crispin Glover's idea. He wanted to take a lot of the lines out. He also came up with the hair sniffing.
Right. Was this sequel Willard?
Think about that timing, right? He had a little moment. He was in stuff. He was in stuff, but he was always... He's an interesting guy.
He's very interesting.
He's like, I feel like...
I'm not gonna lie though. Like, I would be, sniffing these girls. Like, I'm after these girls.
He was just being for the audience.
Can't see Pro V.
They're like, this guy's a villain?
Do you remember the herbal essence commercials where like the girls like showering their hair and then they're moaning and then someone in the back,
oh man,
must be the shampoo. But that's what Crispin Glover was doing.
Do you want to bring back those commercials?
Absolutely. Listen, the 2000s were all about horniness, man. It was the movies, it was commercials,
the music videos,
yeah. Oh my god, the music videos, it was all over.
These are great villains.
Yeah.
Sam Rockwell has a heel turn in this movie that is genius. And I told you off camera that maybe I have to double check. I got to check my research because right now I'm making another assumption.
No, another assumption.
You don't want to make too many assumptions, but you want to make a couple of educated assumptions to help your hypothesis, right?
Yeah, right.
My assumption is that this is the first time we see Sam Rockwell do the Sam Rockwell dance. And it's kind of genius.
I think you might be right.
I love this part of the movie. I couldn't help but just giggle out loud. The music, the realization on Drew Barrymore, who in the film has a relationship with Sam Rockwell's character, who they're supposed to protect. There's a bit of a red herring with Tim Curry, who plays another business partner of Sam Rockwell in the film. There's a great heel turn where Sam Rockwell does the Sam Rockwell dance. Kelly Lynch turns around, very evil villain sort of way.
Right.
Crispin Glover turns the corner, and Drew Barrymore goes, "Oh fuck, these are the bad guys." And it is so cinematic. It is very cool. And I couldn't help but go, "Yeah, fuck yeah!" Like remember when movies just had like really fun characters playing these things? Like now we think of what are villains in recent action comedies, right? They're always like Russian guys, like gangsters or something. Or like, I can't even, like,
cartel members.
yeah, like there was a point where we had Kelly Lynch, Sam Rockwell, and Crispin Glover as three villains in Charlie's Angels movie. And it was awesome. It was funny and it was cool. He is having a blast in this.
Yeah.
He's just, dancing around, saying the wittiest thing. He's just being Sam Rockwell. And it works perfectly. And he plays off of the girls well, especially Drew Barrymore. And that leads us into a great third act where we get even more kung fu. Drew Barrymore has a great scene where she tells the guys, I'm going to kick your asses, and I'm going to do it with my hands tied, then I'm going to moonwalk out of here. Which she does exactly that. I couldn't help but think of that Avengers scene with Scarlett Johansson. I feel like I can never look at that the same now because she has a very similar moment, but she doesn't moonwalk out the room, which automatically makes Drew Barrymore's scene way better.
Oh, right.
Very smart lady, business person, produces this movie, gets paid a shit ton of money for it, saw the vision from the beginning. She's also an incredible screen presence, very funny. She's the glue to this.
Yeah.
She's the reason this movie happens to begin with.
Drew Barrymore's like the best.
And I feel like for a lot of people that I've talked to, maybe, I don't know if this is for you, but a lot of guys around your age, a few years older, I feel like she's like one of the first crushes. She's got that quality about her. They're like that girl next door quality.
I guess I never really would say
you were more you needed somebody. Were you more of like, was Cameron Diaz? Was that you?
No, I wouldn't even say Cameron Diaz was me. I would just say like Drew Barrymore. I don't think I've ever. I mean, I know she had done like the Playboy spread in the '90s and stuff like that, but I never saw her as in a very sexual way.
Yeah, usually more cute.
Yeah, more cute, more like But yeah, never that. I would say Cameron Diaz for sure was more sexualized by this point, for me at least.
Right.
With her whole like the mask, she's dancing around in that short dress and stuff like that.
Was that eye-opening for you as a child?
The mask?
Yeah.
Well, Cameron Diaz in the mask?
Cameron Diaz in the mask. Or Jim Carrey in the mask. I don't know.
No. I can't even tell you when I first came into what movie made me first realize something in a sexual way. Can't remember. I'll get back to you on that.
We'll figure it out. We'll find that throughout this series of films. But yeah, we have this great third act. They kick ass, and this movie is exactly what you think it is, right?
Right.
They go on missions. There's a ton of disguises, wired action. This is also one of the best looking movies of the 2000s, I think. This one and the second one. It's crazy to even say that out loud. And I sound crazy saying it, where it's just like, oh, come on. Like, the silly Charlie's Angel movies but they look good. They look good on film. They are, I feel like because we're so starved for those kind of things now, where everything, I don't have a problem with digital looking movies, obviously. It's the laziness of these movies, right? Like, we get great looking movies all the time. We get like Dune 2, The Batman, Top Gun, whatever.
Yeah, but you're also talking about those movies that are doing stuff physically. I mean, that's the laziness that we're talking about. Is everything nowadays is just CGI. I mean, you could go outside and grab a great fucking shot just by going outside, but they'd rather just put it in the computer.
It's what
to a programming.
Right. It's what you do with the tools, right? They're tools. And I mean, look, for prime example, I mean, we just talked about this off camera. They made a third movie, which isn't a reboot, or it is a reboot. It's not a remake. It's a sequel. They made a sequel to these two Charlie's Angels movies in 2019 that did not do very well. Part of it was like the angry incels online, which is silly. I feel like they pick on the most random shit. Like, oh, we hate Snow White this week. What do we hate next week? Now, I don't know. Let's keep picking on Snow White girl. Let's hate on Captain Marvel. Like, it's just weird. It's insane what they pick on. And the flavor of the month, what they were hating on at the time, was the Charlie's Angels reboot.
Right.
I think the problem with that movie and what they sold it on, though, was that it went against everything that the first two movies were, which is you kind of just sucked the life out of it.
You did. They did. They absolutely sucked the life out of it. It was a lifeless movie when I watched it. I like Kristen Stewart. I don't have any issues with her. I think she was great in Love Lies Bleeding. I think
She's great in everything, man.
like
She's really is good.
And I know some people hate how her facial expression. I don't mind her. This movie though, like it was just the script, the writing for their reboot was just terrible.
And it's you brought that up, right? Kristen Stewart, great actress, especially in recent years too. Like she's done so much that's just she's very unique. Like her projects are just you never know what she's gonna pick. She could do a comedy, she could do a drama. And I think Twilight gave her that bad name. Movies that you love, which hopefully we'll cover on the show.
Who fucking love Twilight?
I think we'll cover the first movie at some point, maybe the first two.
Right. I am unabashed about my love for Twilight.
We're gonna get to them. Naomi Scott's also in that movie. See, these are actresses that are really good. They're good, right?
Right.
And you would think the director, Elizabeth Banks, who everybody loves, one of the funniest ladies to grace the screen, very cool, would have a good take for that material, but it's just stale at that point. And that's the difference between a movie now, which can look stale, look kind of bland, kind of been there, done that. Like, what's the vision here? What do you want the audience to get out of this? Which, in that movie, it's exactly what you talked about, building a franchise. Whereas this movie didn't need to do that. You wanted the franchise.
Dude, you just took the words like what I was trying to come up with. Is in the 2000s, you wanted a franchise. Like you had the established franchises from the 80s and 90s, right? The Friday the 13th, the Nightmare on Elm Street, right?
The Terminators.
Yeah. You had those franchises. What in the 2000s, you wanted new franchise.
Yeah. Yeah. You do that with great stars. You do that with great directors. You do that with, marketing's big, right? DVD sales are big. MTV is big.
You're right. And MTV played a huge part in all these movies that we're going to talk about. Like MTV, like you wanted to be on TRL. You wanted to hit the music video just right. You wanted the big name. Like for this movie, it was Destiny's Child.
Which we haven't talked about yet.
We haven't even talked about.
Great song.
Yeah, Independent Woman. Yeah, absolutely.
And what I love about movies of this time period is they get a great fucking song with great artists, and then they'll play it throughout the movie. That's the theme of the movie. Play twice. Play it during the film. They go to the drive-through and it plays during them, and also over the credits of the film as well.
But see, that's what we're talking about, though, right? Is that they're not franchise builders. You're doing this movie just because you, like Drew Barrymore, probably loved the original TV show.
Yeah,
like let's revive this. Let's do this movie, and it wasn't about building a franchise. It was just doing about something for like love for the movie, love for the TV.
Yeah, and think about how cool and great it is that you have three leading ladies, on the big screen, and you also have a great all-female group doing the music for it, which also big at the time. Beyonce, Destiny's Child, doing. I mean, this soundtrack has a little bit of everything. Like, there's probably not one song that's in this movie. From Blink-182 to Aerosmith, Korn is in this. I feel like there was another. There's so many songs. Michael Jackson. There's so much music in this movie, and it's chaotic. And you would think, Jesus Christ, how many needle drops are there going to be? But somehow they make it work.
They make it work. And yeah, but like I said, like MTV was a huge thing. You wanted the merchandise, right? You wanted the T-shirts, the movie posters. You wanted the music and the music video on MTV. You wanted your actresses to be on TRL and all the late night stuff, which, I mean, I know they still do the late night stuff, but in the 2000s, like the thing to be on was on MTV, on Total Request Live. You wanted to be interviewed by Carson Daly and be like, oh, the #1 music video for this week was Destiny's Child, Independent Woman from the Charlie's Angels soundtrack.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. I remember my cousins watching Carson like all the time.
Yeah.
Everything was on.
That was the whole thing. You come home from high school, at least, my age, come home from high school, first thing you're doing is you're popping up Total Request Live.
Okay, I want to talk about the box office for this movie. So it goes on to debut, right? It gets really good reviews, actually. It's got a decent Metacritic for a comedy, but for Rotten Tomatoes, I think it's at 68%, which at that time for these kind of movies, I mean, that's kind of a W. That's a win. But box office wise, This movie was a big hit, man. It did 13 million opening day. Over the weekend, the first weekend, $40 million, which today would be good. Then that's like 80.
Well, still, okay, so I know I'm old, right? So to me, still mentally, when a movie makes over 100 million, I think it's a good movie. I think, oh my God, it's great.
The word of mouth is traveling, yeah.
Right. Like if a movie for its entire theatrical run makes over 100 million, I'm thinking that movie did great.
Yeah.
But I'm still thinking about terms like 2000s terms, because I guess now if your movie doesn't make 100 million opening weekend, it flops.
Right. Well, it's the gamble. It's the production budgets. The things like these, like production budget and the first Charlie's Angels it's big. It's a $93 million movie, right? And then I believe the second one was even higher. Let me see here. I think the second one was even like way higher. It might have been at, okay, so 120 million, which still isn't that bad. Like by today's standards, that's still lower on the blockbuster end.
It is, but again, like to me, 100 million to me equals box office success, right? Your theatrical one is what, 3-4 months? In 3-4 months, you made over 100 million. It's, to me, I consider it a hit. Nowadays, if you don't make that 100 million within 2 days, it's like, oh, did they even try to make a good movie? Will the movie suck? Whatever the case may be. But, it's just like as times changed, obviously, and the cost of everything went higher. So your production value is, 93 million to make a movie in 2000 is now the equivalent of going over, what, 200 million?
I would say like maybe 120, 130, maybe around there. I would guess. The number one movie for 4 weeks prior to this was Meet the Parents, which I don't know why I thought was 1999. It's 2000.
Shit, I thought
we're going to have to cover that.
Yeah.
Big, culturally impactful comedy. 4 weeks at the box office, number one, is huge. And then Charlie's Angels, goes on to dethrone that. Big hit. Overall makes $264 million at the worldwide box office. I think solidifies the star power of those three girls. That song is huge.
Right.
And
they're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere at that time.
And after that, we, DVD sales are through the roof, and sequels greenlit. Also, around this time, a lot of filmmakers thought this film was the nail in the coffin for the wire foo, which I guess is the moment you see Cameron Diaz, doing that stuff in the air, you're like, all right, maybe that's the end of it.
No, I think it just solidified it for more things that we're going to talk about.
Do you think we need more wire foo in movies?
Yeah.
I think we do.
Yes, we do need more wire foo.
I think the shaky cam CGI stuff, like, it's got to stop. Well, now, it's not even that. Like, it's the John Wick movies have an impact on all the way we shoot action, right? Like that recent Ke Huy Quan movie he did, Love Hurts,
right? Or
like Nobody or Violent Night. It's like, how can we do this with a John Wick reskin? Like, what if John Wick's Santa Claus? What if he's like a realty agent? Like, what if he's Bob Odenkirk?
Right. No, yeah. John Wick, like every couple of years, every 5 years, every 8 years, maybe, the action genre resets itself.
It does.
So I feel like Charlie's Angels resets action in a sense for the 2000s, because you're coming from overly testosterone-led 90s action stars, right? Schwarzenegger, you have Stallone, Van Damme, to a degree, Dolph Lundgren from the 90s, just overly fucking muscly buff guys. And then you have Charlie's Angels, three, PT, I'm not going to say PT, then whatever. I mean, they're three women that are doing now action with wire foo that helps them do all these stunts. But it reset the action genre for the 2000s, just like John Wick reset the action genre for the 2010s.
No, I agree. I think we start coming to a close here. This is episode 1. Charlie's Angels. I don't think there's anything we didn't talk about. We covered all of it. I think this movie is a candy-colored, like, delight. It is just big. It's exciting. It's fun.
It's in your face.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
There's a couple of jokes that, like, hit the floor, right? Like, there's a couple of jokes that are just like, oh, man, I don't know if that's aged. I don't know if it was good then, but it's so joyful.
I'm gonna go with age.
It's a joyful film.
Yes. It's nostalgic. It's nostalgia at this point. And it's warm and cuddly and fuzzy. It's like, you know what? It's like when your parents or your grandparents talk about back in my day, and back in their day was like the 30s and 40s and fucking 50s and shit, right? This is what this is.
Is this what we've come to?
This is what.
Or the 2000s?
Yeah,
that's bad.
Well, at least for you, because mine is in the 90s.
Yours would be the 90s. Mine, man.
Yours is the 2000s.
Am I officially, like, is that it?
That is
it over for me? Oh, man. But I don't,
but it's different though, because like music for me is 90s. Like 90s is like my warm and cuddly music. But for movies, 2000s for sure is like my warm and cuddly.
My question is this though: why can't we just get back to that? But without like the brash stuff and like some of the humor that like you really can't do. Just I think the idea of what we love about this decade, and obviously the 90s and the 80s and going up to the dawn of film, right? Or just people that love making movies. Again, we still have that. I'm not saying we don't have that. It's the studio level.
It's the studio levels, because the studio levels are owned by corporations, and they don't love movies. You know what they love? They love the bottom line. So if their movie can make money, then that's what they want. They don't care about anything else. There's no love or passion behind the studio CEOs, because it's basically they're beholden to the stockholders, right? Sony is no longer run by just. Sony, when Sony bought Columbia Pictures and became Sony, it was run by stockholders, right? Same thing with MGM. Same thing with all Disney. It's all stockholders.
If you cast a reboot of Charlie's Angels, who are the 3 new Angels?
Give me an age range.
24 to 30.
24 to 30. All right. I'm going to take the easy way out. I'm going to say homegirl from Lenora.
Mikey Madsen.
Yes. I'm going to take Sydney Sweeney.
Okay.
And then I'm going to take that third one's going to be tough, because I'm looking at Sydney Sweeney to be like the Cameron Diaz type.
Right.
I'm taking Mickey to be more like I want to say like the Drew Barrymore type.
Right.
And then I don't know for Lucy Liu. I don't know like how they're like a tough chick. Who are you thinking?
I mean, it's a hard choice. It's a really hard choice, because my thing is just like, I don't think it should be a remake, right? It should just be a follow-up. Like maybe they train the new Angels.
Right.
Right. That is tough. That is tough. Yeah, like who is there to even pick? Is it Zendaya?
No.
I feel like she's having her moment right now. Doom 2, Challengers.
She's had her moment.
I don't know.
She definitely had her moment. I mean, Zendaya had, she's older now for sure, but I don't think she would fit the Charlie's Angels fun would be.
Okay. Damn. Do we get one of the Fanning sisters?
The Fanning sisters?
Ella Fanning, Dakota, Sydney Sink,
no.
Bailey Madison, Sophie Turner, Peyton List, Anya Taylor-Joy.
Ooh, hold up. With Anya Taylor-Joy? But I would, you know what though? Maybe her. Only reason is because I haven't seen her be silly. Like all her movies, she's always so fucking serious. Like
she did the Super Mario Brothers movie too.
Okay, that was just voice work. It doesn't count.
You want to see her get silly.
I want to see her get.
I think she's capable. I think she's capable of getting silly.
I mean, I know I like, on her social media, I know she's capable of being silly, but like in a movie, like, when have you ever, like, in her just, filmography, when have she's ever just played like a silly character?
I would love to see that.
Like,
yeah, I would actually like to see that. I mean, I'm looking at her movies now. I mean, the way
silliest that she got was that terrible. I mean, I like it. Nobody else liked that New Mutants movie.
Maybe The Menu. The Menu has a lot of humor in there.
Yeah, but she was a little serious.
So Mikey Madison, Sydney Sweeney, and Anya Taylor-Joy.
Yeah.
I think I could get behind that. I don't think they'll ever make another one. I think if they do, they probably would go down that route.
No, because here's the thing: is a lot of, like, I mean, it's unfortunate, but a lot of the stuff from like the 70s, and 60s, right? It's falling behind the wayside as far as nostalgic for the older boomers who are now,
right. A lot of kids aren't going to know unless their introduction was through those early 2000s movies. It's not going to be. They're not going to care what Charlie's Angels is.
Right. So I think we might be entering, though, an era of like movies based on TV shows from like the 90s.
Well, we have an all serious, drama version of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Correct.
Maybe we'll get like a Family Matters movie. It's like really dark.
A really dark Urkel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or could you imagine like doing a fucking a very comedy-esque like ER?
I mean Scrub.
Scrub. Okay.
Okay. I think that's all the time we got. We hit the 50-minute mark. I think this is good for episode 1 or episode 0, whatever we want to call this.
It's our pilot episode.
This is the Y2Podcast. By the time you see this, we'll have promoted it. Hopefully it's been good enough and you've listened to the entire thing. And you could join us for the next episode where we cover Charlie's Angels Full Throttle. I don't know what this series is. Is it just girls fight back? Girls kick ass?
Girls kick ass.
Do we call them, should we say women?
Women? Girls?
The ladies are awesome. And, yeah, Madam Butt Kickers. I mean, something like that. We'll figure it out. But this, I think, has been a really great time. I had a great time talking about this.
Absolutely.
So join us next week, whenever it is that you hear us from. Maybe it's up already, and then you could go jump into the next follow-up episode. I'm Tony.
Gabe.
And thank you for joining us, and we will see you guys next time.